Power is an unforgiving beast. It does not welcome the weak. It does not forgive hesitation. It doesn't simply arrive. It is summoned, pulled from the ether by those bold enough to grasp it. In the brutal, unrelenting battlefield of Washington, D.C., where words pierce deeper than bullets, where alliances shift like sand and betrayal lurks behind every handshake, only the sharpest, the most unyielding, the most relentless survive. A warrior rises. She was not born into nobility. She did not inherit her throne. She earned it. This is the story of Karoline Leavitt, a woman who walked into the halls of power at an age when most are still finding their way. A woman who fought, lost, and rose again. A woman who at 27 became the youngest White House press secretary in history. The voice of Donald Trump's return to the throne. And she is just getting started. Her journey, like every hero, begins in the unlikeliest of places. Edginson, New Hampshire, a world far from the throne she would one day defend. Born into a working-class family, raised in the unrelenting rhythm of small-town life, she was surrounded by men who worked with their hands, women who endured in silence, and a system that demanded obedience. But from a young age, she knew her destiny would not be written by others. She would forge her own. She dreamed of battles fought, not with steel but with words. She honed her mind like a blade, mastering the art of speech, of persuasion. At St. Anselm College, she studied politics and communication, tools that would shape the battlefield. She would one day step onto. It was here she took her first step into the war zone of American politics, interning at Fox News, the breeding ground for conservative warriors. In 2019, at just 22 years old, she entered the heart of the empire, the White House, a battlefield where the weak are devoured and the strong forge their legend. As an assistant press secretary under Donald Trump's first reign, young, unknown, but watching, listening, and she learned quickly the power of the narrative, the brutality of the media, the unforgiving nature of politics. Hesitation was weakness, mistakes were fatal, and words are not just words, they are weapons. And yet, she thrived. Her voice sharpened, her defense hardened, and by the time Trump fell in 2020, she was no longer a mere aide. She was a warrior. And warriors, they do not give up. With Trump out of power, she stood alone. Out of the safety of the White House, she had a choice. She could fade into obscurity, like so many others, or she could fight. In 2022, she took her greatest risk yet, leaving the safety of staff position and ran for Congress. She fought. She lost. But true warriors are not measured by their victories. They are measured by how they rise after defeat. And Karoline, she would rise again. As Donald Trump rose once more, so did she, by his side, leading the charge as his national press secretary in the 2024 campaign. And when Trump returned to power, he did not forget his most loyal warriors. At 26, Karoline Leavitt was chosen. She would not just serve the White House, she would be its voice. January 2025. The world was watching. Trump had returned. His enemies gathered, sharpening their knives. The press stood ready, waiting for a misstep, a weakness. Karoline Leavitt stepped to the podium and stood before the press, before the nation, before history itself. The camera rolls. The questions come in like arrows. But she did not tremble. Her voice clear, her stance unshaken. The battlefield had changed, but so had she. This was not the naive intern of 2016. This was a warrior, forged in the fire of politics, battle-tested, ready for war. For the first time in history, a woman so young held this volatile ticking time bomb of power and attention, and kept it from exploding. She had walked the long road from small town to the heart of the White House. She had seen power taken, lost, reclaimed, and now stood in the center of it. Karoline Leavitt had proven one thing beyond all doubt. The old empire has returned, and she would be its protector.